And hello everyone, welcome back to another CSS tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be taking a look at pseudo classes. Now, what exactly is a pseudo class? A pseudo class is what is used when you want to define a special state of an element. For example, let's say when I hover over this image here, it should blur. That is a pseudo class. So let's say we have this. Now what we could do is we could say the margined image colon hover. This is a pseudo class. So we're saying when we hover with our mouse over this image, we wanted to set the filtered blur to 4 pixels. So we hover over it and you'll notice it blurs the image when we hover over it. This is the power of a pseudo class. It allows us to take a state in which an element is in and modify what happens when that state changes. So we're not hovering over it, but when we do, we set it to blur. For example, let's say here we have let's keep this margin here. Let's just put an A tag here and it's going to go nowhere, and we can say click me. Now this A tag specifically, and let's just select it like this, has a bunch of properties such as link. This is when the link has not been visited yet. We can, let's say, set the color to red. Since it has not been visited yet, I have not clicked on it yet, it is red. We can also style it for visited. And let's make the color green if it has been visited. We can change the hover. Let's make it purple. And let's say we select the text. We can make it black. So here, if I hover over it, we get, and that should be selected for a second there, for active. For a second there I got confused, but that should be active. So now let's say here, when we hover over it, we get purple. Purple is a little bit difficult to see. Let's make it blue. So it's red when it just hasn't been visited yet. When you hover over it, we now get blue, like we say there. When we select it, and you'll notice if I right click on it, you'll notice it goes black for a second. So that's when we select it, it goes black, active, and then visited. So if I click on it, it now becomes green because it has been visited. Alright, let's jump over to maybe a few paragraph tags. So let's go P, and let's say lorem. Now we can create another div with a P tag in it that also says lorem. But this lorem, we can maybe make it go twice. And now we can also have another P in here. So P, I am cool. And let's have another P here that says I am not cool. Alright. When we go P colon and first child, let's make the color red. Now what this does is it takes the first P element that is in a div, or I believe we can even go here, P I am cool and P not so much. So the first P element, the first paragraph element that it finds in each div or each container will be the color of red. So in this case, this is the first P element inside of the body, so it will be red. This is the first P element inside of this div, so it will be red. This is the first P element inside of this div, so it will be red. So it selects the first element in each div, and it changes the color or whatever styling you put here. We've just mainly changed the color, but you can put any styling in here like as you want. You could even specify hashtag margin here, and now it will only apply this first child functionality to the ID of hashtag margin. So in here, This is the only place where it will do that. If we go div p check me, then check me will be red because it is the first p element inside of this div, which is in fact inside of margined. So by specifying here, you could say, okay, do this, but only to the p tags inside of the margined div. You also have a, let's just go p lang, and here you could specify a language of your choice, such as no, or I'm going to go JP, so let's say it's Japanese. And then I'm going to say the quotes, which will change the quotes that will be used in this specific piece of text, from normal quotes to, let's say, I don't have a Japanese keyword, so I can't use their quotes. I'll just use these brackets here. Now, when we go here, and let's just clean up a little bit so we don't have as much. Whenever we specify lang, and let's say JP, so this is the JP that we found here, that we set there. When we do that, and we use it with the quotes tag, and my bad, here we should not specify a Q, we should specify a, or a P, we should specify a Q for quotes. And let's go here and say quote. Then now it will use these brackets as quotes instead of the usual, let's just make this a quote as well, quotation marks. So usually it would specify quotation marks. But in this case, it will specify brackets, because here we say take the quotes, and if the lang is JP, so if this lang here, if that is JP, make the quotes use these instead. And that is just the beginning. There are so many of these. If we just go colon, you'll notice there's a ton of them that starts with this, and you can see there is so many here. Unfortunately, I cannot go through all of these in one video, but you can go and look through them and see, here's the last child. So if the first child did only the first p tag in a div, then the last child would do the last one. You know, most of these you can somewhat figure out. Visited, there's the one we did. There's first child, first of type, paused. You can check out all of these, but there's so many. You just need to find them. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all again in the next CSS tutorial.